recording, so I have like 5 minutes of you guys not shutting up. So when people come in and say, boy, what goes on in that class of yours? You should hear.
Okay, ready?
And they can.
I've got it.
This is when they're supposed to be quiet and paying attention.
Shh. Okay, sorry. I'm not recording.
No? You guys are all planning to go to university, right, Hazel? All of you. I would assume you're here. You're in pre-dip. I assume you're planning to go to some sort of post-secondary education. Do you think those teachers will get mad?
Yeah.
No. They will walk out. Because they don't care. It's you people that are paying for it, and you are throwing it away. They couldn't care less. They will just leave. I know it's recording. It's recording on purpose. It's recording because I said open at page 47, and I wanted to start, and then I started the recording so everybody in the real world out in the YouTube universe can hear how my class doesn't ever shut up. So, there is a problem with the Pythagorean theorem. The problem is you are all taught it this way. You are all taught this. And I hate that. The reason I hate that is because if those letters change, I have had 20 years of students tell me they can no longer do Pythagoras. And it hurts my feelings to the core of my math being. So I hate a squared, b squared, c squared. Every year I start saying Pythagorean theorem, and every year the kids go, the what? You know Pythagoras, right angle triangle? The what? A squared, b squared, c. Oh, I got it! So, I like to spend a moment discussing it. And this is what I like to discuss about it. I like to find out what you know about the hypotenuse. All of you are going to say the same thing right now. What do you know about the hypotenuse? It's the longest side, a bunch of you said. Now, one of you said it's the slant. Okay. Where's the hypotenuse? It's the bottom one, which isn't slanted at all. It's flat. So you can't do it that way. You all say, oh, Hazel, were you putting your hand up or just kind of dancing a little? Yeah. Dancing? Cool. No problem. I like dancing. Colin. That's what we're looking for. Everyone says it's the longest side, but you only know it's the longest side when you've done some math, right? Right. So, the hypotenuse is always opposite the right angle. Now, how do you know an angle is a right angle? What is the only way you know? It has that symbol. If that symbol's not there, it's not a right angle. Unless you do Pythagoras and prove that it is. Does everybody understand? I am going to highlight the word opposite. Because this entire unit, there are two words that we are going to use all the time. Opposite is one of them. Opposite means across the figure. You have to go across to find what the opposite is. All right? Learn it, live it, love it. The legs are the other two. And this is another mistake that a squared, b squared, c squared gives people. They are interchangeable. They are. Neither one of them is A, neither one of them is B. They are just the legs. The way I was taught Pythagoras is not x, no letters. The square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the square of the other two sides. then it didn't matter where we turned it around. It didn't matter what letters we were given. It always worked. And that is why I like to avoid a squared, b squared, c squared. I like to avoid calling the hypotenuse the slanted side. I like to avoid all that stuff because triangles can be spun around. And as soon as you spin them around, people start screwing it up. Okay? Everybody cool? Now, I'm going to take a moment to tell you a quick story about grade 7 when I learned Pythagoras. My teacher taught us all the words, legs, hypotenuse, and I was like, Mr. Bailey, what's a hypotenuse? I'll never remember that word. And he said, that's okay, Matthew. I like to remember the word hypotenuse by thinking of a hippopotamus. And I said, what? Hippopotamus sounds like hypotenuse. That will help you remember. And I said, okay. Fast forward a couple of weeks later, we're writing a test. The answer to the question is hypotenuse. What do I write? Hippopotamus. What does Mr. Bailey give me? 0! He said it was wrong.
That's a betrayal.
That's what I said. But I've got some distance from it now. It was 1987. I can work with it. I'm over it. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why I don't give you little remembery things like that. I tell you what it's called. Now, all of you should be able to do these two questions in about 2 seconds. Go. Notice I have not written A, nor B, nor C anywhere on those. You can use your calculator. 144. You had 2 of the 3 numbers. Why have I stopped? Why have I stopped here? Does the square root of 80 exist? No, it's a big crazy decimal. So I got to go to my calculator. And it's like 8.9. Now, some of you are going to have not done subtraction there. And when you do this, you're going to do 144 plus 64, which is, of course, 208. Then you're going to do the square root of 208, which is, of course, 14.2 something. And then, because your calculator says 14.2, you're going to write 14.2 there. And what am I going to do when I mark it? That. Because, of course, how can that be longer than 12? Rewind.
Hippopotamus.
All right. Okay. Now that you have all seen how to do it, everybody attempt this one. Tell me the length of X. Go. Tell me how long that is. Go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, time is a bit of a factor, so I'm going to talk for a moment and see. How many of you have a strategy here? Excellent. How many of you actually have an answer for me? Excellent. You should all put your hands down because you can't do it.
Hey, I moved on to the next one.
Would anybody like to say their strategy? Colin. You cut this right here?
Yes. And then
Okay, hold up, Colin. So when you did that, you made this side 17.5?
Yes.
And you made this side 17.5, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is that allowed? No, why not? You don't know how long that is. If that isn't 20, you can't do that. Why would I get you to do this question when there's not a way to do it? Because all of you assumed stuff, didn't you? Are we allowed to assume? Not in math class. All right? Now, I'm going to make a small adjustment. You tell me if what I put on here makes it okay. Now, could I do Colin's move? I make this 17.5, right? But then I don't even need to because then this is 20 and I can do Pythagoras, right? All right. Some people do this. They say that's 10. Is that allowed? How do you know this is 90 degrees? If I do this, would that be allowed? Yes. Everybody understand? Don't make assumptions. Now, when I do this, everybody can do it in their sleep. Right? What if I did this? Could you do it now? Of course, you do Pythagoras, you'd find this side, and then you do Pythagoras here. Is everybody good? All right. So everybody's cool, right? And I recorded. The point here is you can't do this yet. At the end of this unit, actually by the end of Wednesday, you would be able to do this question. Even without anything else. Everybody cool? All right. What about that one? Is that one doable? What would you do down here? Where is there some math you can do in B? Jesse.
The first triangle on the side.
Can I do Pythagoras here? So I could get this answer, right? That would be the square root of 20 squared plus 10 squared, correct? So the square root of 500, agreed? So once I knew that this was the square root of 500, could I find x? Yes or no? I cannot. Why? You can Pythagoras this triangle?
No, I said, is it not for right angles?
I can't, can I? What if I put this? Sorry, Jesse, what were you saying?
I just said that
Pythagoras only works for right angles.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
because there's no symbols.
Yep. What if I put that there? Now we can do it in our sleep, right? Everybody with me? No assumptions. Now, you can't do this yet. Now, see how I did? It's like a movie trailer. Now you're all like,
Fence.
yeah, I'm going to know how to do this. No, you're not. You hate math. Stop it. Don't lie to me. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to skip page 48 and 49 because we're out of time today. But you are going to do page 50 and 51. Tomorrow we'll do 48 and 49 and we'll mark 50 and 51, and then you should coast into the weekend with nothing to do. Why? Because I care. Because my Grinchy heart is 2 sizes too large for my fat chest. Even my chest is fat.